All right, getting into some interesting stuff today, really digging into ArcBlock and this whole idea of rebuilding the internet with, like, you actually in charge of your data.
Right.
Which is a pretty wild thought when you actually,
Yeah.
when you really think about it. And we've got their slides here talking about decentralized identifiers, DIDs, and verifiable credentials.
Right.
And what I really appreciate here is they're not just, talking a big game. They're actually showing working demos of this stuff.
It's refreshing, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
To actually see it, because so much of, I think we've talked about this before.
Right, yeah.
So much of the blockchain space is just like potential. And this is like, no, we've actually built it and here it is working.
Right. It's like, show me the code.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's unpack this a bit, because they're really pushing this idea of everything having a DID, which I don't know about you, but that sounds a little like, whoa, hold on.
A lot to wrap your head around.
Yeah, a lot to wrap your head around. So break it down for us. Like, what kind of everything are we talking about here?
So imagine like a digital ecosystem.
Okay.
Where every single element from, users like you and me to the apps we use to the servers and blockchains themselves, everything has its own digital passport.
Okay.
That's essentially what a DD is.
So like a unique identifier for every piece of the puzzle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And these DDs, they're not just, random strings of characters.
Yeah.
They're structured. So like a typical DD would look like this.
Mm-hmm.
Did ABT.123456789 ABCD D-Day.
Okay, hold on. I'm already seeing a pattern here. So the did part, that's just signaling, hey, this is a did.
That's the scheme. Yeah.
Okay, and then abdit. I'm assuming that's
ArcBlock, right?
ArcBlock's specific thing.
And their method.
Okay, and then that long string.
The last part, that's your unique identifier.
Okay, so that tells me where to find whatever it's attached to.
You got it. So you need to interact with a specific app.
Okay.
It has a D. You need to verify a transaction on the blockchain. That has a D.
It has its own
everything.
So they're really taking this idea of like a digital address, but applying it to pretty much everything.
Yeah, even like, think about this. They even have DIDs for specific instances of running apps.
Okay, so like if I open up, say, a word processing app.
Yeah.
That specific instance of it has its own separate deed.
Exactly. Incredible for granular control.
That's a lot of deeds.
It is a lot.
Floating around out there.
It is, but that's what gives you that real fine-grained control.
Okay.
And tracking. And it allows them to do some really cool stuff.
Like what?
Like they can support traditional blockchain accounts, even Ethereum-style ones.
Oh, interesting.
Which they represent with DIs like DID.ABT 0x251A.
So even if I'm coming from that Ethereum world, I can still plug into this.
Seamlessly.
Interesting.
And it goes beyond just accounts. Think tokens.
Oh.
Both your fungible tokens and your NFTs, all with their own deed.
Every single one.
Yeah, they even gave an example using an NFT called Space Dogs, #236.
Okay.
With the ID.ABT CJD70CH.
So a digital dog.
Basically, they actually have an image of it in the source material.
No way. That's great.
It's pretty cute.
All right. So, that's fun and all.
Right.
But, how do we get from digital puppy IDs to something actually...
Right. Of course.
Well,
so take a look at slide 8. This diagram is really key.
Okay.
What ArcBlock has done is they've created this decentralized identity layer.
Okay.
And it weaves everything together through this web of deeds.
So it's not just about having the identifiers, it's about how they're all...
Exactly. It's the connection.
Okay.
And those connections allow them to build these applications.
Yeah.
For everything from basic user accounts, we're talking webinar payments and tickets.
Oh.
Professor and student IDs, certificates, diplomas, they're rebuilding all these systems we use in the real world.
It's like a parallel universe, but for digital identity.
Exactly.
Okay, so that
is like this trust and verification built in from the ground up.
Built into the whole thing. Yeah. And this is where I think verifiable credentials come in, right?
This is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's
dive in.
Yeah, let's dive into verifiable credentials. Verifiable credentials, all right? That sounds kind of like the kind of where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, honestly, a lot of this crypto stuff, it gets very tangled and code heavy.
Yeah.
How user-friendly are we talking with verifiable credential?
That's the thing, is that ArcBlock has really gone out of their way
to
make this tech approachable.
Okay.
Even elegant. And I think slide 10 is a great example of this.
Okay.
Where on one side you have this like raw JSON LD code of a credential, but then right next to it, bam, a clean visual representation.
Oh, nice.
Like a digital ID card that anyone can look at and be like, okay, I get it.
So it's familiar.
Exactly.
It's taking something that seems very complex and making it something that people recognize.
And they're not just stopping at the aesthetics.
Right.
They've really thought about practical uses too.
Okay.
So like slide 11 shows how these credentials can be used for digital certificates. And slide 12 highlights proof of ownership, which I think is just huge.
Okay, now when you say proof of ownership, are we talking like proving I own a specific NFT, or is this...
It's way bigger than that.
Okay.
This is like, imagine being able to prove that you own a piece of digital art, a domain name, even physical property.
Wow.
With the same level of verifiable certainty.
So this is like, this could really change how we think about property and ownership.
It's huge.
In the digital world. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a lot to manage, though.
Sure.
If I've got all these DDs, all these verifiable credentials, how do I keep track of all this stuff?
So this is where DD Wallet comes in.
Okay.
This is their all-in-one solution.
Okay.
Think of it like a digital passport and a crypto wallet rolled into one.
Okay, I like it.
But designed specifically for this new world of decentralized identity.
So this is kind of like the tool that brings it all together.
Exactly.
Is this like a new thing, or have they had this for a while?
Surprisingly, it's been around since 2019.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which, for this space, is... that's a pioneer.
Yeah.
It's available on iOS, Android, even as a browser extension.
Oh, very cool.
https.didwallet.io if you want to check it out.
Okay. I'll put a pin in that.
And then on top of that, they've created the DID Wallet Playground.
Okay, a playground. So this is where I can...
You can experiment.
Okay.
https.playground.staging.arcblock.io.
All right.
They've got like hundreds of scenarios there.
Wow.
Ready to use code for developers.
So it's like not even just for like regular users, but if
like
I'm
anyone who wants to...
a developer and I want to tinker with this, I can go here.
Absolutely.
Very cool.
It's a playground.
I like it. All right. So we talked about connecting these DA to the real world earlier, and, you know, I'm still a little fuzzy on how that actually works. How do we get there?
So that's where DD Connect comes in. This is their bridge between this decentralized world and the apps we use every day. Slide 20 kind of lays it all out. You, the user, interacting with dApps using your DID wallet, all thanks to DID.connect.
So it's like the...
It's the translator.
Or Rosetta Stone.
Exactly. Okay. If you want to learn more, head over to https://www.dgadi.io.
Okay, another bookmark.
And you can actually use that DID Wallet Playground to tinker with DID.connect.
Oh, very cool. So it all ties together.
It all ties together.
I like it.
And then they've got some SDK documentation.
And of course they do.
For developers on slide 22. They've really thought of everything.
They really have. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked about, you know, the IDs, the credentials, managing them.
Right.
But we haven't really gotten into where all this data actually...
Where does it live?
Lives, yeah. Like, what about storage?
Right. So that's where GID Spaces comes in.
Okay.
Imagine, like, a secure, private, and, like, really importantly, portable data haven.
Okay, now portable, that's interesting because a lot of times our data is kind of stuck wherever we put it.
Yeah.
Explain portable a little bit.
So it means that you have control over your data.
Okay.
You can move it. You can share it.
Okay.
It's not locked into any one service or platform.
So it's like instead of my data being
scattered to the wind
with a million different companies,
all under your control,
it's all under my roof.
Exactly.
Oh, that's a game changer.
It really is.
Okay.
It really is. And what I think is really cool is they're not just you know, building their own little walled garden here. They're actually out there participating in, contributing to the broader DD and verifiable credential movement.
Okay.
They see the big picture.
So they're playing the long game here.
Absolutely. Not just chasing the hype.
Yeah, not just what's the hot new thing. It's like, how do we actually make the internet better?
Yeah, and it comes back to the individual. Like, ArcBlock is so fundamentally about empowering people with control over their digital lives. I mean, think about it. If everything has a DD, then your digital identity becomes this interconnected web of verifiable information that you control.
Okay, so paint me a picture here.
Sure.
What does that world look like? Like, how does this change, say, education.
All right, so imagine a world where your diploma, your certificates, they're not just pieces of paper or files locked away on some institution's server. With verifiable credentials, they become these tamper-proof digital assets that are stored securely in your D-Day wallet.
So no more like requesting transcripts, or is this thing actually real?
It's all right there.
It's verifiable.
Instantly verifiable. Anywhere in the world.
Oh, that's powerful.
It cuts out the middleman.
Right.
Puts individuals back in control of their own, narrative.
Your own story.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I'm already thinking, beyond education.
No, absolutely.
Just in general, online identity.
Yeah.
If I've got a DD and I go to a website, I can choose what I reveal.
Exactly. It's like this.
It's not just giving them my entire life story.
It's like a digital passport with granular control.
Yes, exactly.
You need to prove you're over 18. Boom. Done.
Here's my ID.
Without revealing your name and address.
Exactly.
You need to prove your professional credentials. Here you go.
Yeah, and it's funny because you say passport, because that's a very, physical, tangible thing that we understand.
Yeah, exactly. This idea of I need to prove this thing, but I don't need to give you everything.
And you have that control.
Yes.
It's huge.
It is huge. Okay. So
and this goes beyond just convenience too, right?
Right.
Think about something like healthcare.
Okay.
Imagine a world where your medical records are stored securely.
Right.
In your DID space.
Okay.
Accessible to you and only the people you explicitly grant permission to.
So no more faxing medical records between doctors' offices.
Streamlined, secure, efficient, all under your control.
That right there is game-changing.
It has the potential.
Okay, so you've convinced me this could be huge, but what are the bumps in the road here?
Of course.
What could hold this back?
Well, as we've touched on, adoption is key.
For this to work, it can't just be a few people. It needs to be.
It's got to be everybody.
Governments, institutions, businesses.
Yeah, we all got to get on board.
It's a collective effort.
It is.
To build this more decentralized future.
And it's not just about the tech then. It's about getting people to
trust it. They understand it. Yeah. And I think that's why ArcBlock's focus on open standards, on transparency, on making the stuff user-friendly.
Yeah, it's got to be usable.
It's crucial.
Okay, so we've got listeners right now who are like, I'm in. How do I get involved?
First and foremost, learn.
Go
to ArcBlock's website.
Oh, my goodness.
We've mentioned it.
That's a good website.
It's a treasure trove of information, developer documentation.
Code snippets.
Yeah.
Those playgrounds.
Dive into the playground.
Play around, experiment. It's all there.
It's open. I like it. And beyond that, if I want to get more involved in just the general space.
Yeah, engage with the DID and verifiable credential communities.
Okay.
There are forums, online groups, tons of resources out there.
So this is a movement.
It's bigger than just one company.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Okay, so we've gone deep today.
You went deep.
On ArcBlock, on DIDs, verifiable credentials.
The future.
This whole idea of a user-centric internet.
It's exciting.
It is exciting.
And it's happening.
It is, and they're building it.
Which
is awesome, so I think that's a good place to leave it for today.
But for everyone listening, this is definitely something to keep your eye on.
Absolutely.
Because it just might change everything.